There we go. That's what we want to hear. There we go. All right, Vida.
There we are.
Now, today is August 4th. It's August 4th, 2021 already. I can't believe it's August. And the last couple of days around here has felt more like late September.
Are you serious?
I have found it a bit chilly. Yeah. Oh, we even heard from Kate. Maybe we got that on audio. We might not see her, but we'll hear her.
Yes.
So
I guess maybe it's been cooler in the evening. So
a little bit.
Yeah.
So I am Margaret Major. I am a registered counseling therapist here at the After Trauma Empowerment Network in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. Kind of took a pause in there where I didn't need one. I am joined with Vida Woodworth, who is co-host and chairperson on our board of directors, and Kate Matthews is also here with us. You won't see Kate, but she is our technical director, and she is also a board member as well. And as I mentioned, today is August 4th, 2021, and we have an amazing, talented artist joining us today. Natasha Head will be talking about her doodles, as she calls them, and just the therapeutic benefit that art has provided for her, and just learn from Tasha. Yes. So I would like to do our diversity welcome first, and then we'll do a check-in with Vida. And before I do the diversity welcome, I just want to extend our thanks and gratitude to the Mental Health Foundation of Nova Scotia for their generous support and funding for us to be able to offer our MAAT show, our program. And okay. So first, I would like to welcome all women, men, transgender, and other identified individuals here today. Welcome. I welcome everyone here who is a mother, a father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, son, daughter, grandmother, and grandfather. Welcome. I welcome people of all races, tribes, and descents. I welcome your bodies, your minds, and your energy. I welcome survivors and those who support them. I welcome all people single, married, partnered, dating, celibate, or involved in whatever sort of relationship is right for you. Welcome. I welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, queer, asexual, two-spirited, and others for whom none of the current labels fit. I welcome your emotions, your joy, your bliss, your rage, hope, frustration, disappointment, and contentment. I welcome everyone's special way of understanding and knowing the world, whether it's wisdom that has been learned in schools, colleges, universities, and/or the deep and profound school of life. I welcome those living with chronic medical conditions and disabilities, visible and invisible. I welcome your families, genetic and otherwise, our network of family and friends who make our lives easier, happier, and gentler to be in. I welcome mystics, seekers, and believers of all kinds. I welcome people who identify as activists, community leaders, musicians, artists, group members, and those who don't. And finally, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land where we are now. Welcome the spirits of Mi'kmaq, the natives who lived in this area before the Europeans came. I'd like to acknowledge them and invite their spirits to this space. Everyone, welcome. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We greatly appreciate you being here. iPhone, Kevin, and Tasha. Thank you. Okay, Vida. So how are you on this August 4th?
I'm doing pretty good. Uh, I'm a little sleepy because I have been sort of binge watching the Olympics. Even though everything is repeated during the daytime when most people are awake, I insist on watching overnight as it happens. So that's
Wow.
messed with my sleep pattern. But I like to see things as they happen and not accidentally see just a caption about it in the news in the morning, and then not have to or not have lived through the excitement or the disappointment.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good thing probably that they are finished, I think, on Sunday. So I'll get back to having more sleep than I have been having for the last 2 weeks. But it's been exciting to watch not just the sporting events and the competitions, but learning more about some of the athletes and the barriers and obstacles that they've overcome to be there and to compete at that high level. It's almost you know I don't know. It seems that people that are competing in sports or activities like that at a high level, not all of them, but many of them have stories that are much like the everyday person. And I'm always curious to find out what it is that encourages them or keeps them making such a commitment to train for whatever sport or activity they're doing at such a high level. So I'm quite interested in the people. So it's not just about the Canadian athletes and hoping that they're going to win medals or have a personal best. It's about seeing the athletes from all over the world, and many of them have. It's unbelievable, some of their stories, what they had to do to even get to the Olympics. And some of them have come from places in the world where, women are not seen as people, they're seen as possessions, and most certainly they're not allowed to compete in sports. I read about a young woman from India who lived in extreme poverty, as many, 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 many millions of people do in India. And her dream was to learn how to play field hockey. And she would stand outside of the field that was close to where she lived and watch the team practice that was in her community. And her family couldn't afford for her to participate, and they most certainly couldn't afford for her to even buy the hockey stick she would need to play. And she managed to scrounge around and find a broken stick. And she started to practice what she watched the team practice. And eventually the coach saw her and decided to teach her some things. And to make the story short, she's now at the Olympics competing for potentially a gold medal as the captain of the team from India. And, she's been able to, through her participation in the sport, she's been able to buy a home for her family. And, who knows what she'll be able to do if she is a medal winner at the Olympics. So, it's really interesting and very heartwarming and very emotional to hear, that it isn't just something people do for fun to fill in time. It can be a lifetime dedication. And for many people, it can be escape from poverty or an escape from violence or abuse. It can be a way to help deal with mental illness. It can be a way to build self-esteem. It can be a way to feel part of something that they've never felt before. There's so many things that participating in sport can do for people, not just a skill, and it's not just about a bouncing ball or shooting something or running somewhere. It has so much more to it. And I think when we watch the Olympics and the time that they spend telling us about many of the athletes that they profile, it helps, I guess, us see the value in sport. And when we hear about schools not promoting sport or physical activity like they used to because it's not seen to be valuable, I am one of those people that would argue that it is valuable. I was very lucky to participate in many sports as a child and as an adult. And the lessons I learned, yes, I learned skills to play the sport, but really I learned how to be part of a team. I learned how to deal with loss. I learned how to deal with winning. I learned so many life lessons through my participation in those several sports that I've played. And really, it's some of the stuff I learned that got me through many of the jobs I've had. Because I think back, one of the first groups I ever had was a group of women. I coached a women's softball team in the local area here. And there were 20 women who faithfully showed up every night for practice and every night for a game. And then in between games and practices, we would all hang out together. And I think that's the first group or therapy group in a way I was ever part of, because during our 5 years together, we helped each other through marriages, divorces, addictions issues, terminal illnesses, issues with children, people who were having fertility issues. I mean, there were so many things that as a group of women, we shared and we came together because of the sport. And so for me, I guess that's why I love watching the Olympics more than any other kind of sport. There's lots of different sports in the Olympics, but just to see that play out. And most Olympic athletes will go back and will continue to give in their communities forever, for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And we are so much better for it because the lessons they've learned through their participation in sports are just invaluable, and they love to pass that on to anybody who wants to learn them. So, I mean, that's been a big thing. And I mean, usual, lots of other things. My puppies are growing up and getting lots of teeth and biting and doing stuff. But yeah, I guess probably that's what my week has been more about. Oh, I'm making noises with my microphone.
Oh, okay.
There. Is that better? Yeah, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
To anyone listening, sorry.
I don't know if I noticed or not. Yeah.
Probably, because I've got it's a different material on my shirt tonight. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
You always have the coolest shirts.
Yes, tonight I'm a princess who doesn't need to be saved.
Yes.
You don't need a knight on a shiny knight on a white horse. Or a shiny horse on a white knight. Neither one. So how has your week been?
Well, I was in Cape Breton over the weekend, which is always very therapeutic to go be by the ocean water, just to have the salt air is wonderful. I did some waterproofing on the deck, so I was feeling that, because when we do things like that, we feel muscles that we haven't used in a long time. So
yes,
that would be Sunday and Monday. And the rain Monday was incredible. It's like for the last 2 weeks, the sky has been saving up the rain, and it just let go. And yeah, our drive back from Cape Breton for 3 hours was just dealing with that. It was quite intense. Yeah. I was thinking about music. I was wondering, because I know for myself, I go through phases of songs or music. And if something, strikes me for whatever reason, I may feel inspired to pick up a guitar, try to learn it. I did try to learn a Rihanna song on piano, and I did learn a
Mhm.
Neil Young song on piano
Ooh,
quite a while ago. And who knows, maybe we'll do a session from the room that has the piano in it, which is in this
yes.
room.
I'm assuming it's not in our office here.
No, not yet, not yet. Um,
Yes.
I have the guitar back there, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned what the blue string is on the guitar.
Oh, I
I
know that
should
you've told me, but I'm kind of not remembering exactly what it means. So if you wouldn't
let me
mind
grab
telling it
it.
again. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna grab it just so we can try to see it.
yeah. While you're getting your guitar, I do I do need to get your husband Daryl to maybe show me at least one chord on my electric guitar that has about 1.5 inches of dust all over it.
It was quite a whack I gave it, wasn't it? That must have been really loud in there.
Yes, well, not too bad for me anyway.
Okay, so let me see if I can. Can you see the blue string?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, so that one blue string is from a campaign down in the US that is, it recognizes that 1 out of 6 males will experience sexual abuse or sexual assault before the age of 16.
Yeah.
And that is a campaign to help raise awareness about that fact, because often boys and males are not included in some literature
Yeah.
and statistics, and not acknowledged some places as being survivors of sexual abuse and sexual assault.
Yeah.
So yeah, I keep that blue string, the one blue string, and I believe that's the name of the website too, onebluestring.com.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can go there and buy your own blue string
Yeah.
if you want. Yeah, and
Yeah.
support that raising
It
awareness.
was interesting. I had the opportunity to go to Yellowknife probably 10 or 12 years ago for a conference on suicide prevention and awareness. It was a world conference that the Canadian Association for Suicide, it's CASA, and Canadian Association for Suicide, something the A is. Anyway, they hosted it.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I had a chance to walk around the city, and the city's not big. And one of the things that jumped right out at me, there was a shelter for victims of sexual assault and violence who were male.
Oh.
And I almost tripped on the sidewalk, and I actually took a picture of the sign, and they had a lovely wall full of it was like graffiti, but it was painted on there with a purpose. Like, it wasn't just people graffitied the wall. It was done. I think they had gotten some young artists to do it, and the artwork was beautiful. And I just couldn't believe, that in a place that many people, including me, would have thought was most certainly more isolated in our country, that there would be a center. And how excited I was that there was that kind of a service there.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, when I first started working in Halifax and then in Truro, many people were very resistant to the idea that men could be, should be acknowledged as being victims or survivors of sexual assault and abuse. And I've heard people say, many service providing people say, well, they can build their own center and go help themselves.
I've heard it too.
Because they were only seeing men as being perpetrators and not potentially as being victims.
Right.
And yeah, that was the woman who started the center in Truro, as you know, Margaret, when you were there, believed very strongly that we would provide services to anyone who came through the door, regardless of gender. regardless of sexual orientation or any of the other things. And I was so happy to know that, you know, we were doing this in our community, and I had hoped that we would see change by now where, I mean, we have a real lack of services still throughout our province for people of any gender who are victims of violence. But I had hoped that there were going to be more specific, male specific programs and services around. And there are a few, but it's like anything, we need more.
Yeah.
And, you know, it doesn't hurt to talk about men as victims or survivors of abuse when, you know, we're talking about abuse. It's, it can happen to anyone. So, yeah, I think it's cool to see, you know, initiatives that are people, and people, especially people that are more in the public, talking about it, or even some people, celebrities or musicians or artists or people have talked about their own experiences of violence and abuse.
Yeah.
And as a way in helping people realize that it does happen to anyone and can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's cool that, you know, there's things that are very simple but can communicate a big amount of information.
Yeah. And when you mentioned about musicians talking about violence or abuse that they've experienced, the three bands that pop through my head that I'm familiar with that have written songs about abuse, or more specifically sexual abuse that they experienced, is Tool, Linkin Park, and Korn. And I know there's a lot more bands out there that have written about that topic, because it is an epidemic in our world, sexual abuse and sexual assault. It is. And it's happening every day in our communities. And we do need to talk about it more. And this topic wasn't even on our agenda to talk about tonight. It just we just kind of led that way. And we trust when we go a certain that somebody needs to hear something.
Yeah. And I was also thinking kind of with our guest, Natasha.
Yeah.
Trying to use her proper name since I don't know her very well. My mother taught me to do that. I don't know her last name, or I'd call her Ms. somebody, but she's going to talk to us about her doodling, as she calls it. When I have worked with women who are incarcerated, there were two things that I learned. I used to do some group work, just basically helping the women find ways to connect, because many of the women who are incarcerated have been victims of sexual violence and many other forms of violence. Mm-hmm. And often, even though they are in a place where there's a large percentage of them who've experienced these things, they still feel really isolated. Two things that they really connect with: one is music, and the other is art. And so we used to do a lot of different things in our group, but two things we used to do every now and again would be, I would ask them to pick a song and bring the lyrics to the song. And if they had the music on a CD that they could bring down, and we could play and listen to the song and then look at the lyrics, and just ask them, you know, what is it about this song that you chose it to bring to group tonight? You know, how does it make you feel when you listen to it, or what purpose does it serve? And that, you know, does it help you relax? Does it help you, you know, feel less stressed, whatever it might be? Or is it a song that you connect with because of an experience that's talked about in the song? And also, do the instruments that are used when the song is being played? And so it was just something that the women kind of brought to me And I felt that connection too, because I love to listen to different music just depending on the kinds of songs or the kinds of moods I'm in. And the other thing was art. And sometimes they like to do their own creations, and they may, you know, we had paint and crayons and colored pencils and all the things that they could use to create some art, visual art. We were limited usually because if we were in an institution, we couldn't always do lots of different kinds of art. And the other thing they also loved to do was color. And when I think of it, there were several women who asked, instead of coloring, could they doodle? And I asked them, you know, why do you want to color, or why do you want to doodle while we're discussing something? And for them, it was a way to focus. And they felt so vulnerable when we were having discussions about certain topics that if they could look down and color or draw, it didn't get overwhelming, and they could listen to each other much better. And they could also speak about things that they were struggling with to say out loud, and sometimes they wanted to say out loud. And so I'm so, you know, curious when people will say it's just doodling, or it's just this, or coloring, or whatever. And I think, no, it isn't, because there's so much that we get out of those activities that sometimes we don't even recognize. And I'm really interested to hear what you know Natasha's going to share with us, and what we can learn from her. So
well, that's a great lead into introducing Tasha.
I know.
And I'm going to say Tasha and I go way back. We go back because we're cousins. Hey, cuz. Welcome, Tasha.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Very interesting conversation so far.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add before we go into you sharing some of your amazing doodles with us?
Oh, I just I have a hubby that likes to chit chat. We have a lot of conversations, and we've had some pretty intense conversations about the lack of resources for men that have faced sexual harassment and violence and whatnot. It was interesting that it came up.
Yeah.
You're so right. And it's definitely overlooked for sure. You need a lot more focus. And then when you mention doodling and focus, that's what it is, right? The quieting, right? The world's very heavy right now.
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
My go-to is typically writing, but when the words get stuck, I doodle.
Okay.
Sometimes
so
right? They won't come, right?
Yes. And yes, you are a published poet.
That's my passion, but I need to feed that passion even when I don't know if it's a way of punishing myself somewhere in my head, but the words get stuck, right? And they just will not flow. So crayons always color. So, yes, forever unleashing creativity, by all means necessary, because the way is through.
It is. Yeah. I like how you said that. And what you said about crayons, that could be on a t-shirt.
Yes. I urge you all to go get some Crayolas.
Yes.
They're even fun to break. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do with them, but you've got two, right? But no, it's my coping. It's my coping mechanism of choice, for sure.
Do you have like a piece of your word art or poetry that you would like to share, or do you want to focus on kind of your doodle?
I'm kind of in doodle mode.
Okay.
Any poetry would be old because, like I said, the words are stuck. So the doodle's a new thing that I've been playing with, something I've always done, but yeah, I think it's something easier for folks to grab onto, right?
Okay. Well, you go right ahead and you just share away.
My weapon of choice,
Yes.
the Hilroy Scribbler. Woo!
Yay!
Right? Not quite as good as the Campfire notebook, but and I think that's something that sometimes, especially Amazon, Michael's, you can get overwhelmed by choices and lessons and where do I start, right?
Good point.
Yeah.
The Scribbler and crayons, right? I can remember an aunt many, many years ago. I think I had gotten on her nerves, but she sat me at the kitchen table with a box of crayons and she scribbled over the entire page and then insisted I color every little dot. Right.
Huh?
20 years later, I did a whole wall in my room.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow. I bet that was amazing.
I'm old enough now to know that that scribbling for her may have been some release. Right?
Yes.
Wasn't always an easy kid, right? So, but that is my first memory of doodling. And ever since, it's been the Hilroy notebook and crayons. I have more crayons than I do anything else. So
Awesome.
it's kind of funny, right? But these notebooks, they're great because you can throw paint when you don't care.
Nice.
And these are literal just doodles, but at the same time, I can focus and drill down and, you know, sometimes they turn out better than a doodle.
Ooh.
Right. It's just, again, I don't know what I'm doing when I start. And I think if enough folks would trust themselves, they might surprise themselves with what actually does come out. Right. I mean, it's not about gold stars or anything else, but you'll feel better. It's incredible how much lighter, right? If I sit down and doodle mindlessly for a half an hour, right? It's as good as meditation. Right. That
Absolutely.
heaviness settles.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's so much good to be had.
So what
Yes.
would you say to someone who is looking at a blank page and wants to, but maybe hasn't learned how to trust themselves enough yet to allow that?
I often, one black dot, where can it take you?
Oh,
Right. I don't know. I like to dot, right? Rather than hard lines, I'll dot the lines. And you'll be amazed. It's much easier if you're working on an actual focus picture, right? Much more forgiving, much easier to get that look that you want, and much easier to just let it go and evolve into its own thing. It's fascinating, those little dots. We did a puff and paint with Shelley Bond, and she was painting the dots, right? The dotting painting, right? And they loved it. They loved it. And it was just, again, almost like drumming, right? That meditative state, right?
Like a rhythm.
Yeah. Bring your music along. But so many ways. My husband's an amazing cook. He'll tell you he's the least creative dude on the planet. You should see what he can do that he doesn't give himself credit for because it's easy for him, right? Sushi dragons. It's fascinating. And to watch him do that and lose himself in getting it done, right? That's exciting to see someone come to life like that.
Yeah.
And I like to think that's what I do when I get focused and I'm able to play with my crayons. I think it's the best of me that I bring, right? Personality, mood, it just all comes together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens when you let yourself go a little bit and trust yourself.
That's the big one. Trusting yourself. Yeah.
But I had great help. I mean, growing up at the restaurant, right? Dad would sit me and my sister there, and on the menu, he'd draw one line, finish the picture, right? So it's always been used to settle, right? So, no, it's great to have such a creative bunch that does their best to understand me.
Yeah.
I'm just, Kate is rejoining here. Sorry, there. Okay, we're good.
That's just my
Okay.
Kate 2.0.
Kate 2.0, yes.
We mean business. But But I know, Margaret, I mean, you and some of the art I've seen you do with your quilting and that's got to be so rewarding. Right?
And well, it's like you said, when you trust yourself and you trust the process of it, like you starting with your black dot and then another black dot and another one, and then you end up with this beautiful piece. It was the same with me quilting. I couldn't think of the whole project. I had to just a stitch at a time, and that's all I could do. And yeah, you lose yourself in it. And like your
And you
husband,
breathe.
his art is cooking. Like that's how he shows his
I'm a walking
creativity.
billboard for it. But that's what I enjoy, right? At the jam sessions when they come together with their guitars and you just get that vibe going, right? I mean, I've had coloring book roundtables, right? And you could feel it, right? And no, I don't like to color. No, I don't like to paint. But the conversation comes easier, right? The honesty comes easier. You're not so concerned about the face you're putting forward as you are the color you're laying down, right?
Yeah.
So how long would you say you've been doodling since you were like a child, or is this something you've kind of rediscovered in your adult years?
I have always doodled, I've always journaled, and I've always written my poetry, right? So it was, trying to draw like Puss Head back in the 80s.
Yes.
No, I've always been that doodler. I was, the chick in IA for graphic arts, and right? I like getting messy that way.
Yeah.
Still have never played with the glue gun, however. That they intimidate me.
I do own several glue guns, and I would just say they do hurt when you get your fingers stuck in the glue. Even the cool ones that are not supposed to burn you, that glue has to melt somehow, and it does hurt. But they are very helpful for doing lots of creative things.
I love to see the creations that people make happen. And I think that's what I enjoy most of all, is by doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I get to talk a little bit about it and with others about it. I'm back into the desk job now, and I'm really missing the creative convos, right? I miss it.
Yeah, you mentioned puffin paints.
Yeah. That was incredible to see those girls come to life when they were working on their pieces of art, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the vibe was good, and it was camaraderie and the equivalent of breaking bread, right? And there's always, the lessons were easy, but the art was beautiful. They were great evenings. I really enjoyed being a part of them.
And maybe you'll be able to host those again sometime.
That is the hope. Hope. Definitely. Maybe throw in some of hubby's catering too. You never know. He did fish tacos for one. It's amazing.
Yes.
Stay on his good side, right?
And I'm just wondering if Ida has any questions, or if she's curious about it.
I'm just wondering, some of myself, and I've heard other people say that sometimes when you're struggling with something, I guess, that has a lot of strong emotion, or even difficult things that you remember, that, or even just a problem, that sometimes when you do something artistic, whether it's doodling or painting or coloring or whatever, that it helped for some reason, and Kate may be able to help me understand. You use another part, the opposite side of your brain when you're being creative, or you use a different part of your brain when you're being creative, and when you are being creative, it sometimes helps you see the problem or the emotion in a different way that you wouldn't have been able to get to if you weren't using your creative side of your brain. And I just wonder Yeah, if you
Yeah.
notice that, even if you're struggling, not just with, you can't, the words are stuck, but maybe there's something you've been thinking about and you haven't been able to work it through, and you sit down and you do something artistic, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is what I want to do. I hadn't thought of it until you did the creative part.
Ideas
And
are born, I find.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they
you
get
said that
bigger
earlier.
and brighter. It's like you can grab them, right? But so
Yeah.
too are the memories, right?
Yes.
And that's, they become more real and vivid. I find I'll take an idea and that's what I'll drill down and focus on as I'm doodling. But it's literally, it's a trip. When you come back,
Mhm.
you do see it differently. And I mean, that's whether it's in a healing way, right? An insightful way, right? I find that you've got what you need if you can find the path to it.
Yes.
That's what doodling seems to open up, right? It clears
Yeah.
away your own BS
Yeah.
and presents you with
Yeah.
the solution already. It's just
Yeah.
murky. It's
Yeah.
fascinating, the process, when you slow it down and think about it. And then if you're
Yeah.
brave enough to look back through your work, and you can see the influence of everyone and everything and the weight bearing down. It's very interesting, very selfish, I suppose, to want to, but at the same time, sometimes you figure out the future by looking at the past. We can't
Yeah.
ignore it, right? So
Yeah.
it's a way to
Yeah.
challenge some of those demons. I doodle a lot of monsters, right?
Yes.
They're very pop culture, and I mashed Jason Voorhees with Alice in Wonderland,
Mhm.
right? So, you could psychoanalyze that till the end of
Yeah.
days, I'm sure. But it's very rewarding to do that for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fun. It's making light of the dark, but it's admitting to the dark too, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of self-shame, if that's even a term, right? Just that
Mhm.
crappy human feeling. I
Yeah.
think it can work itself out on the paper. Or maybe
Yeah.
it's photography, right?
Yeah.
I've seen people blow my mind. I can take the same picture and it is nowhere near what they see, right?
Mhm.
It's
It's incredible.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible. I long to take those pictures. My Facebook right now, it's all about the clouds, right? I like to get lost
Mhm.
in the sky, but I will never be on CTV Morning Live for my cloud shots. I'm trying. Some people just boom, right? So I
Yeah.
guess maybe the rule I'm playing by now is I'm going to stop and take the photo, right? If I
Yeah.
think it's there, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 It's all we can do. And it's another avenue, right? It's so many
Yeah.
ways you can tap that stream, I guess is
Yeah.
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. I connect with doodling because my mother, who's 82 now, has always been a doodler, and she was also a teacher and became a school principal in her second year of teaching. Back when this is quite a long time ago now. She retired in 1996, but started, I think, in 1958. And she always doodled. And I remember, she would go to principals' meetings, and she was maybe the only female there, or there was another woman who was a principal as well. And so she often felt maybe that her voice wasn't being heard, or that her perspective wasn't being respected. But she would doodle always at the meetings. And I remember asking her, like, don't you write notes so you remember what you're supposed to remember? And she said, no. She said, it's how I don't smack people in the head when I feel frustration. And there were lots of times, I'm sure, as the only woman or one of two women in the room, it would be frustrating and you would feel unheard, especially, and I'm sure it still happens, but back in those times, it would have been very common for women to be dismissed.
Oh,
And
yes.
it is something like, even I know she's been involved in in her church and on committees and stuff. And I mean, she uses doodling even there. And I'm sure there are frustrations at those meetings too. But
Mhm.
it's something that she always used to say, I use it to focus. And that's what you said right away, is it helps to
Yes.
bring it to focus. So I'll tell her how brilliant she is and
Yes.
how creative she is, because
And
she's
how many
always said,
lives were spared because she doodled?
I know, especially
Yeah.
male administrators in the public school system.
The hair's standing up. I can imagine. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
And then the self
Yay,
So-
doodling.
self-dose,
Yes,
right?
doodling can maybe lower our crime rate. Who knows?
Yes,
It could have a
definitely.
lot of power.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also with my doodles, with the writing, it's the one time I might or may not think I'm okay, right? I've done a pretty good job. I find giving myself credit hard, but if I've
Mhm.
drawn it and it looks like I hoped it should, then maybe a gold star for a grown-up today.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's easy to do that, I think, with a skill or something. We're so much trade oriented, right? We need to be practical and you need to be productive. And
Mhm.
so start an Etsy shop and get a doodle pad. Right?
Yes. The other place that you can find lots of gems when it comes to journals and drawing is the dollar store. I
Yes.
have found, and Margaret can tell you, that I supplied the center with probably a year's supply or more of crayons, colored pencils,
Glitter pens,
journals,
glitter glue.
glitter pens, scented pens, glitter glue, but a lot of like journals that will cost maybe $8 or $9 in one store, you can get at the dollar store for $1.50, and they're basically exactly the same thing. So every time I go in the dollar store, I am guaranteed to come home with a bag of journals and more pens, more pencils,
Yeah.
and bring them down to Margaret and say, here, we'll have them here just in case we need them.
I took
So-
a part-time job at Kohl's for a short while just to get the discount on their wall of paper.
Oh, yes. Yes.
If you get low on journals, let me know.
Okay. Yes.
We give them out a lot here at the
Awesome.
center or the
Awesome.
office. We usually every new client that comes in, we give them a journal. Just
Awesome. Oh, that's the start, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Thanks to Vida. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vida,
And-
Vida in the dollar store. Look out.
Yeah. Yeah. Watch out. Yes. The other thing that, and maybe you could help or not help, but you could come and explore it here with us, is the world of finger puppets. And I have introduced Margaret and some of our clients and people to finger puppets and the value in, instead of
one
you
right over
saying
here.
it, having a finger puppet talk.
I
And
know.
it actually a good friend of mine told me that she knew actually had taken a therapist or taken therapy with her partner, and they were having difficulty discussing things that they felt were confrontational. So the therapist had told them, instead of them, to each get a finger puppet, and that the finger puppets would work it out. And it was helpful because, of course, when you're talking back and forth, it feels personal, but it was helping get away from that feeling of being defensive all the time and just letting the finger puppets do the talking. So
Nice.
that was the idea. She shared it with me. And when we decided to open a 10 here in Shubenacadie, I thought, I got to get finger puppets because we got to find a way to use them. And we've used them with some of our young women to do some TikTok things on the internet, and even our women's group each have their own finger puppet now, and so
Stop by and get a finger puppet.
yes.
That's awesome.
So perhaps Margaret can, or you can come here and choose your own finger puppet, And
love to.
yes, because there's several here that live in the office, and
Oh,
you can come and find one that can come home and live with you.
honey, I'm home.
And if you need, you could bring one for your husband as well.
Yeah.
Having fun with truth instead of hurt, right?
Yes.
Put it on
Yes, and we'll
there.
get him one that's fireproof, so if he's cooking, it won't catch
Yeah.
fire.
Flambe.
You could see him with the Swedish
Puppet.
chef from the Muppet Show. Yeah.
I bet there is one.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I will look it up tonight.
Oh
and
no,
order
buddy,
one.
you got to stay off the finger puppet site.
I'll just go for the one.
What time are we at? 6:50.
I have no. Oh my
6:50.
goodness!
Yeah, I know. It flies, doesn't it? It does.
Does it ever?
Okay, now this might seem like two random questions, just out of curiosity. What are your favorite potato chips?
Ooh, can I pick cheesies?
Do they qualify as a chip? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a great debate.
Yeah,
chips-
leave it to me.
Are cheesies chips?
I think cheesies are the more edgier chip.
Okay, edgy.
So
okay.
yes,
Okay.
I would say yes.
Okay, you can go with cheesies. Okay.
Okay, cheesy.
The, the next one is pizza or pasta.
Pasta.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we could get deeper. Would it be tomato sauce or creamy sauce?
White sauce.
White sauce.
It would be a red sauce.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. No cream sauces.
I have discovered olive oil and pesto.
Yes, that's the primo. Yes.
It is. Yes.
I have not had pesto.
Oh,
Very, very
there's the
low.
next
It's,
workshop.
yeah. Yes, we
A
can all
nice
make a.
vermicelli noodle, little fern, tossed.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
very good. Yes.
Okay. I've heard of it. I'll have to give it a try.
Yes. You need
Yes.
to.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, you maybe we can hopefully have you back on at a later time.
I would
can-
love to come back.
You can share some more doodles and maybe if that unsticks and you feel like sharing some of your written word, then we can do that too.
The flood will happen. It's inevitable. I trust
will.
We'll
in the
do.
flood.
We'll do your next book launch from here.
Okay.
Yes.
There.
Yes, and we will have the guests greeted by finger puppets at the
It would be an
door.
honor.
Yes. Yes. And thank you so much, Tash, for taking your time tonight to come and share a little bit with us. And
Thank you for talking crayons with me and everything that you guys are doing with this. Seriously, you deserve
you.
this.
Thank you. You.
thank you.
I hope we do more. And please, if you can't get here to choose your finger puppet, I shall, after meeting
Deliver
you,
it.
I'll give one to Margaret if I can't, and maybe the both of us can deliver it to you.
I would be honored by a finger puppet, and I will use the finger puppet. You have no idea how that speaks to my soul.
I
Oh,
think I
good.
know. I think I know which one you might pick, and it might match a tattoo you
Ooh, even better.
Ooh, okay.
I am a fashion victim, so.
It's yes, and I have one on my kitchen table at home. A raven. Yes.
Nice.
There's ravens here.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, there's a raven
and
here.
there's a large raven too, not just a finger puppet. We have a giant raven.
Very. It is.
Never more.
It's like your whole arm finger puppet.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we're not talking just any finger puppets. These are the deluxe finger puppets of Finger Puppet World. So
They are.
Oh,
They
Yes.
are.
We'll have to launch them officially.
Yes.
Ideas, you never know where they're coming from.
Well, I said to Margaret, maybe one week we could do our show with just finger puppets.
Yeah,
And
we'll
not-
have to practice that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We may have to practice, but
I think
Yeah.
you should, most definitely.
I got to work on my accents.
Oh,
Yes. My
Yes,
Boston
Margaret's-
accent.
turned
Boston.
British, turned very British on her. It became Boston.
Yes.
I'm from Boston. And it was, we all picked a different accent. And by the time we were finished, there were 4 of us, we were all speaking with a lovely English accent.
Yes. Yes, we will.
And some of us sounded like Queen Elizabeth, and some of us sounded like the Cockney girls that live down in Manchester. So,
Great job.
your class was showing.
yes. Anyway, I think it would be delightful to do finger puppets. And maybe you could be a finger puppet guest.
I would love to. I will wholeheartedly support the
Yes.
finger puppet endeavor.
Okay.
There we go.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Your name's going on a sticky.
Okay.
So now we need to do our loving kindness meditation, and then we'll be done. So you
Okay.
can just hang out for another couple of minutes if you want. And thank you again so much.
Yes. Hopefully I'll meet you in person soon.
Yes.
Yes, we're hoping to have an open house in September, so we'll keep you on that invite list, and then you could, if you don't make it down before then, you can come that day and meet Vida, and we can do finger puppet things.
I'll bring my crayons.
Okay. We'll have a room with crayons, finger puppets, and coloring for everyone.
Okay, so for the next minute or so, if you're comfortable, please close your eyes. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, please find something just to fix your stare on, just for the next minute or so. And all your stress and tension, just put that up on a shelf just for the next 2 minutes. You can take them back down when we're finished. Just allow your breathing just to be natural. You don't need to count or control it in any way. Hear the sounds in the room around you. Feeling yourself in this moment. Begin to feel any tension you may be holding. Begin to feel that tension start to drain away from you. Feel it drain away from around your eyes, your face, through your neck, your shoulders, down your arms. Feel any tension drain like a liquid down through your body and out through your toes. Now imagine a loving white light entering your feet, traveling up through your body, up to your stomach, to your chest, and your arms. Feel it almost bursting through your heart, your fingers, and through the crown of your head. And when you feel embraced in that love, silently repeat the following words to yourself. May I be free from all harm. May I be safe and protected. May I be free from all suffering. May I be happy. May I be free from all disease and physical pain. May I be healthy and strong. And may I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now turn your thoughts to this vast world, the huge earth with all its living creatures. Continue to feel that love in your body as you silently say, may all beings be free from all harm. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from all suffering. May they be safe and protected. May all beings be free from all disease and physical pain. May all beings be healthy and strong. And may all beings be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Send your love as far out around the world as possible. And just imagine that energy traveling through the air. Continue to feel that love centered around your heart. Feeling yourself in this present moment, in the now. Noticing the weight of your feet on the floor. And you can continue to carry this feeling with you for the rest of your day, reconnecting when you need to. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes. Okay. There we go. There. We had some good belly laughs there.
Yes, we did.
Good. There. So now we're all pieced out.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you to Natasha again for taking some time with us and sharing this evening. And I would like to thank well, I think I know who you are, but the iPhone and our other guest. Thank you for spending some time with us. We appreciate you being here. And we will be back next week, and we are going to have a little bit of a discussion next week about gender and sexuality, sexual orientation, presented with lamas, we'll say.
Yes, it's very timely because of COVID. Actually, it's getting very close. They're going to have a Pride.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's not a celebration, it's a Pride festival in August this year in Nova Scotia in many communities. So it's very timely that we would have this topic next week.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, Halifax, the festival, Pride Festival, is,
yes.
I believe, from August 12th to the 22nd. So it's
yes.
10 full days of activities and awareness and discussions.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll talk more about some of that stuff next week when we talk about that topic. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess that's it for today. Anything else that you needed to mention?
No, I feel like we should do something like I don't know, Spock on Star Trek, like live long and prosper at the end
I
or
know,
something, but
we
we
need a
need to come
sign
up
off.
with a sign off. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, my colorful brain there. I'm not sure. We'll come up with something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
Yes, yes. We just have too many ideas and not enough time to implement them all.
That's
Like
true.
we need, yeah, I know. And the time
Oh,
goes so quickly.
it does.
I mean, it's August 4th already.
I can't believe that now that you mention it.
I know.
I heard it earlier and I just denied it until now. So I can't keep doing that.
Okay, well, we're going to sign off. Thank you again, and take really good care of yourself and each other. And yeah, be well.
Yeah. See you
And
next time.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.